Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar this afternoon. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad to have you here. We are having this webinar for two reasons. One is to serve you because we're so concerned about what we see in the fundraising and philanthropic space this year, and we're getting so many questions. And so in a way, this is a response to popular demand to try to serve our community. And also, we are so excited. We have a really big announcement today. We are announcing a new coaching program, our Major Gift Officer Boot Camp, and we'll be telling you about it later. So stay tuned. It's really exciting when you develop something new because people have been asking for it. And so we're thrilled to roll it out and bring it to you. Kathy, you want to say hello to anybody?
Yeah, I've been catching names flying by. So if I missed your name, I'll catch you later in the webinar. But it is great to see everyone. We've been so excited. Gail and I haven't done one of these in just a little bit, so I'm so excited to be here today. And I'm really happy that all of you have joined us today. I think, as Gail has said, it's going to be a great conversation today. We have a lot to share. Excited about moving forward with this. So welcome, everyone.
Yeah, and I see some people who say they're longtime followers. Thank you so much. And friends from Montreal, we're grateful to be able to bring ideas to you to serve you so you can raise more money. Right, Catherine? Well, let's get started. Let's see.
My favorite thing gets me so excited if we're going to raise more money for our missions. This is wonderful. This is what we're all here for. So,
okay, let me share my screen here. Right. All right, how's this, everybody? Can you see it okay? We got it. I want to make sure I have my chat box open. It just got hidden. Catherine, you go ahead and do an intro while I get everything set up here.
Okay, great. Well, here we are today to talk to you all about major gifts in 2025. There's been a lot of uncertainty in our environment. We won't go deep into what those uncertainties are. I think you all know there's a lot going on. But the good news in this is that the people who support your organizations want your missions to be successful. They want to support you. And so I think some of the stuff we will share with you today, or some of the ideas we'll share with you, is how to really focus, how to really make sure that you are doing the right things with those lovely relationships so that you can close major gifts, is what we're going to focus on today. Gail?
Yes. And so if you don't know who I am, I've been around far too long, probably, and still standing and still excited about fundraising. Catherine and I both quit counting after 30 years. And I was honored to be named a LinkedIn Top Voice in Philanthropy in 2000, and I'm one of top 10's America's fundraising experts, so I'm grateful for that as well. And Catherine, we call her Dr. Gamble around here because she has her PhD and she's our resident teacher. She's an adjunct professor at Johns Hopkins University as well. Catherine, you want to say a little bit about your background?
Yes. And so major gifts and capital campaigns have always been, when I was a practitioner, those were my areas of focus, in addition to being an executive leader in advancement and development. So I've sat in many of your chairs, understand a lot about your pain points and your challenges. It's something that we do in our consulting practice all the time. And so we're again, just really thrilled to be able to hopefully give you all a few hints today. And then, as Gail said, we have a big announcement that we're really excited about. And thank you, Kathleen. That's kind.
Impressive credentials, Dr. Gamble. And this is our company. We really specialize in building major gifts programs for organizations and also helping them build and run successful capital campaigns. Catherine leads our consulting project. Catherine, you would talk a little bit about our capital campaign work?
Yes. So the bulk of our client, consulting client work is in capital campaigns. And I'll tell you all this one thing, and I said it to Gail earlier. You can keep this in mind. You can quote this. So you can have a major gift program or raise major gifts without a campaign, but you cannot have a campaign without major gifts. So when you get your major gift work going really well and humming right along, you will be campaign ready anytime. And so one of the things we often have to do with our campaign clients is we have to do that major gift work with them and get all of that really going so that they can really move robustly with their campaign. So from everything from planning studies, audits, development readiness, all the way to counseling, right on through the campaign, helping you develop leadership. All of those things are things we do in our consulting practice when we help our organizations with capital campaigns or even help them build their major gift programs. So,
And also, I specialize in board retreats. I have my easy friend making and fundraising for board members. If you, I see we have a few board retreat veterans here speaking in the chat box, but if you need your board fired up, let me know. But today, we want to help you confidently bring in more major and principal gifts this year in 2025. And we're going to give you, like I said in the promotional materials, we're going to give you a few shifts that you can make. And we're going to talk specifically about portfolio management and direct conversations with donors, because these are two pain points that we are seeing people struggle with. And one of I'm so proud to have Catherine with me on the webinar today because she is bringing the fresh strategies that are working for our capital campaign clients right now. You want to speak a little bit about that? I know you're going to talk later, Catherine.
Yeah, I will. I mean, one of these things, portfolio management is one of those key things. It's really a huge time saver. When you're doing it well, it keeps you focused on the right prospects at the right time, which is absolutely critical in the campaign environment. But it, again, important for the major gift environment because again, you have to have major gifts to have a campaign. I can't say that often enough.
Yeah.
So giving you some really hints to just helpful tools to help you really focus and prioritize. And one of those tools, I'll just give you this hint now, is the ability to let go. That's a skill. So, and a useful one. So I'll add that.
We're going to park that later.
Yeah, we'll park it later.
She's getting wound up here.
I am.
Catherine, can you turn up your volume just a little?
Yes, I am working on it. I've turned it up. So I'm just going to lean in a little more to that.
And here's our agenda. We're going to speak a little bit about the current environment, the current donors, the current major gift officers, and what's going on in the current environment to close transformational gifts. And then we're going to be very specific with you about your portfolio of major gift prospects. If you don't have a portfolio, create one. And we're going to show you how to prioritize and move forward on that special, lovely group of donors who you are nurturing. And we want to give you very specific questions to chat with your major donors so you can find out if they're really going to make a gift or not. And we're going to show you how to move them along. And then also, what about key leadership volunteers? Catherine, you were telling me earlier that's a real pain point you're hearing right now.
It really is. I mean, how many times, and I'm sure many of you would raise your hands almost immediately, have we said we can't give our boards to give us names, or we can't get our campaign leadership to open a door or make a call for us? Any of these things, we're here to tell you today, there's an art to this, and we're going to share a little bit about what that art is. Because when you do the things that we recommend, I can tell you, and our clients would tell you, you can be successful with engaging your volunteers. So more to come.
So these are going to be 3 very specific strategies. I mean, if you follow us, we're very practical. And if you do some small shifts, you should be able to move forward and close some mega gifts this year. We really think so. But let's move forward. Let's get started. So, Catherine, what is a major gift in this environment today?
Well, Gail, like we say here, it's one that has transformational value to the organization and the beneficiaries, meaning your mission. So keep transformational value. So you might think we'd be talking about a specific number, but the number can vary by organization, the capacity within your donor pool, those kind of things. But when it has transformational value to your organization and to those that you serve, it creates outcomes and changes things and realizes visions like this picture is sort of noting, then that's a major gift. It is transformational.
And a lot of people ask us, what is a major gift? And I would also say that often the definition of a major gift is relative to your organization and your donor base. Wouldn't you agree, Catherine?
Absolutely. I can give a quick example. So if you're a really large university that has a long track record in major and principal gifts, your major gift threshold might be in the low 6 figures. Mm-hmm. If you're a smaller organization, a community-based organization with lots of lovely donors who are supporting you, your threshold might be low 5 figures, maybe 10,000, could be even a little bit lower. But somewhere in there, it's again, those gifts have transformational value to the organization.
Mhm. And also, we've got today's major donors. And let me speak a little bit about the fundraising climate. 2 days ago, we got Giving USA, and I did a webinar on that Tuesday. And we're having a big webinar ourselves with our consulting team in July about Giving USA today. But the net is that giving in dollars was really up, and it was a positive year for gifts in 2024 in the United States, even despite all of the political campaigns that were vacuuming up billions of dollars. Donors still supported their favorite charities.
Mhm.
But we're worried about 2025, which is one reason why we're speaking to you on our cameras today, because 2025, we know for sure, and studies show that donors give when they feel economically secure and somewhat confident about the economy. And there's been so much uncertainty since January that a lot of people are holding back on major purchases, major trips. Everybody I know is just, it's sort of like a wait and see. And we haven't gotten any donor numbers yet for 2025. I'm anxiously awaiting, but we have we have both sides of the coin. We had a robust, solid year last year with many of the sectors of nonprofits really improving their return. They're increasing their gift donations, but on the other hand, this year looks very volatile. So we don't have any predictions for this year, right, Catherine?
No, we don't have any predictions, but we can share this little piece of advice. And that is hold the donors you have very close and very dear. And that's donors of all sizes of gifts, not just major gifts, and then especially focus on your major donors, like we are talking here. And I'll talk a little bit about what we are sharing on the slide, because there's a word here that I want you all to pay a lot of attention to, and that is the word values. So oftentimes, and we've all been, as Gail and I have said in our credentials, we've been in fundraising for a long time. And of course, we always used to talk about interest. We need to know the donor's interest. Well, now we're in 2025, and what we've learned through various donor psychology and reading various things is that what we really need to know about are the donor's values.
Personal values.
Personal values. And the reason is because values rarely change. Deep held values of what's important to one's makeup as a human being and what they want to do in the world is values. That's values. Interests, however, can change and be influenced by many things in the world. So if we're really focused on understanding the donor's values, then we're going to get to success, greater success, and we're going to get there more quickly. So in this intersection, you'll see what's important is the nonprofit or the institution's mission and vision, and how that intersects with the donor's values. In other words, what the donors want to do in the world. And the MGO, the major gift officer's work right there in that intersection is facilitating the relationship between those two things.
Mm-hmm. And if you can figure out what your donors' personal values are, what they really believe in, what they're really passionate about, and you can determine whether your organization fits into the donor's framework, you can decide whether to pursue them and spend more time nurturing that relationship or blessing and releasing them. Because we wrote a blog post once. Remember, Catherine, we wrote something about mushy donors. Donors
Yeah.
have these mushy hearts and they
Yeah.
just care so much
Yes.
about some things, and hopefully your organization will be right in the crosshairs of what they care so much about. So that's your work. A lot of your work in qualification and discovery is trying to figure out, is the donor a fit or not, right, Catherine?
Right, absolutely. You're trying to get into that space, that intersection that we have on that slide. And then, so when we talk about what major gift officers, what your key skills are, keep in mind your role as a facilitator. We've identified that intersection that you're trying to, understand, is the donor going to move into that place of the values alignment? Is that occurring? So here's how you do this. And this is a lot, and we'll unpack some of this today, but not quite all
This
of
is
it.
a great slide, everybody. This is the key to your success right here.
It really is. So managing your time, we like to say, time is often overlooked. We talk about this with our consulting clients. It is the most limited and fixed resource you have. So managing it well leads to greater productivity. And then, so the next step in that is prioritizing. You prioritize your top prospects who can make transformational gifts, but you do that based on a timeline, not just their capacity. When we talk about the program we're going to announce, we will go deep into this stuff in that program. We use a values-based inquiry approach. Now that's a big term, but we're trying to find out the values of the donor. And inquiry means we've got to be comfortable with asking questions, polite, permission-based, framed questions. That's how we find our way to that sweet spot, and how we find our way to the gift. And I always love to talk about, I know, Gail, we've talked about this a lot in different contexts, but supporting the joy of philanthropy. There's a lot of research about what giving something away does for someone's mental well-being and emotional well-being. That joy is something that we as professionals in the philanthropic space need to be both aware of and be able to support. That's really important. And then lastly, this piece we're going to touch on today a little bit more is engaging our influencers effectively. That's your volunteer leadership. And we want to use the right people at the right time for the right thing.
That's right. And so these are the skills. If you think about it, where do you stand in your skill set to be able to execute at this level? It's sort of a fun thing to think about. And we're going to dive a little bit more deeply into this as we go forward. But let's talk about how to save time and be more effective. Who wants to save time and be more effective? Catherine, are you in on that?
I'm all in.
Save time and create results and still be able to spend time in my beautiful garden out there.
Exactly.
The challenge is that everybody has these things called portfolios, and they are donors who are assigned to you for nurturing and for hopefully closing gifts. And so, Catherine, what is the problem we see with portfolios?
They're not organized well is really the big problem. And they're not prioritized, or even more importantly, they are stuck. Like you have a list and your list is fine. It just stays there. It doesn't move. So one of the key things, and portfolio is a big word, and some of you will probably just have a list of major donors, and that is fine. Use the word that's comfortable for you. And then, you look at, if you're a university fundraiser, you're probably using the term portfolio, but that's the group you're assigned to. And what you want to make sure is that is the bulk of the people in that portfolio are true major gift prospects, that you have some idea about the timing of their gift so that your activity is focused again on the right people at the right time for the right thing. So here's what this is management's going to help you do. Again, we're going to talk about prioritizing, and the key data point, if you will, that you focus on for your prioritization is the timing of their potential gift. And you might be going, well, how do I know that? Well, we're going to give you a little secret. The donor will tell you that timing. So we're going to talk about that more in conversations. You assign a dollar value, and we strongly recommend you assign a low and a high. This is on your list that you're just hanging on to. And then why we like a low and a high is because it's hard to know exactly what the number is. The only person who knows their number is the donor. So if you put a low and a high, we call it margin of error. It's comfortable. Okay, you always want to be working towards the top, but the donor has something to say about it. So low and a high works well. And then lastly, a regular process, just create a regular process of adding potential prospects and removing disqualified prospects. That's
And
the
Catherine,
talking about that.
we have gone into fairly large development shops to help them level up and clean up their major gift programs so they can be more successful. And we have seen portfolios that were so full of prospects who weren't really prospects. They were suspects. They were guesses.
Right.
And so part of the work of each fundraiser on the team who had donors assigned to them was to do discovery work with each one of these donors to figure out, are they really a prospect or not? And one of the great ahas, this was a small college in Maryland. Remember this, Catherine, when we finally convinced them that if the donor is not responding and does not want a relationship, you can take them off of your portfolio and put somebody else on. You remove them, you bless and release them. Who has
Yeah.
problems letting go of a prospect who just might be just so wonderful? I mean, I've seen people beat their heads against the wall. Haven't you, Catherine?
Yes, I have. I will say this, it's because all of us have done it. I'm raising my hand, Gail, because I've done that too in my days when I was a major gift officer, because I was just so sure that I could somehow, rope them down, hold them down, to the floor and make them a prospect for a gift. And you can't do that. So, and again, keep in mind there's time to this. And today's not a prospect, could be tomorrow's prospect. Today's prospect may not be tomorrow. So this is why you're always checking in with the donor. And when the donor basically says, I'm not a prospect, or they just ghost you forever, then you
Yeah,
need to let them out of your portfolio. And let me give you this other little hint. They don't know this is going on.
they don't know that we're staying up at night fretting about why they're not showing up and why they're not
Yeah.
returning our
And they
call.
don't know that they're on your list or not on your list. So they're not at home going, wow, Gail just took me out of her portfolio. They have no idea. So this is, I say this because I said this recently to a client who was really struggling with this. They kept doing well, what if, and maybe, and if I do this, and how do I get this appointment? And what if I do that? And I'm like, you know what? The donor's not playing. They're
Yeah.
not playing.
Okay.
So
So, Catherine,
lesson relief. Mhm.
sorry I interrupt you, but we got so
No,
many
we're good.
questions in the chat
Oh,
box.
good. I see them. Yes.
Kelly wants to know, this is a wonderful challenge. Any advice on when they still want to be your best friend, but you know they're not going to make a gift?
Oh,
You can
yes.
put them in
We've
some
all
sort
had
of
those.
pool, but you can't spend a lot of time with them. You,
No,
you can spend social time outside of work, but work time has got to be spent trying to move toward your goal.
right.
And if they're expecting more frequent contact, do it as a friend, right, Catherine?
Yes, absolutely. And I think the other thing too is maybe not initiate the contacts quite as much. But if the
Mm.
donor calls you and says, I'm coming to an event, could I sit at your table? Or I'm coming to do something and I'd love to stop by and see you at your office. Certainly, if you're available, you want to be friendly to the people who support your organization, but you don't make it a priority for your organization. And I think what Gail says, I have certainly had donors who, now this person was a major donor and stayed a major donor, but where I developed a personal relationship. So I did see her. I did go to her house for a cocktail in the evening, sometimes occasionally when she invited me and that kind of thing. So yes, that can happen. Mm-hmm.
And we also have something we call the back burner. I can
Mm-hmm.
see Andrea Worley is suggesting that she moves those
Great.
people into
Mm-hmm.
a monitor bucket. So that's sort of like a back burner and
Mm-hmm.
checks in with them about once a year. But also, there's some questions about how often you do a portfolio review and
Mm-hmm.
portfolio. When I was a frontline fundraiser, I sat down by myself um,
Mm-hmm.
for a half of a day every month and
Yeah.
reorganize my portfolio in terms based on what I had learned, new information, whether they responded or not, and whether I was readying them for solicitation. And so I resorted. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily that I took people out of my assignments, my portfolio, but I put them on the back burner. Right, Catherine?
Absolutely. I mean, key is that, and there's no perfect frequency. I think, Gail, I think monthly, just yourself really should take a look at like, what did your activity that month do that changed anything in your portfolio? If nothing changed, your list stays the same order. If you had a meeting with a donor and the donor is starting to say, I really want to talk about a gift, suddenly that donor becomes much greater priority. So,
Mm.
and yes, and Carol, yes, you can make a top 30, top 15. Really, the key is that some of this is we're kind of giving you, ideas that you can use, but also everybody also has things that really work for them in managing their portfolio. So if it isn't broken, don't fix it. I would say that for sure. The key is that you're moving, you're
Mhm.
staying focused, so that your portfolio is actually productive.
And Carol, I really like your top 30, top 15. When I was
Mm-hmm.
a frontline fundraiser, I had my top 10. I had my 10, 20, 30 rule. And my top 10 donors or prospects, I did moves management once a month. My next 20, I'd made sure I touched every other month. And my next 30, I touched once every 3 months, every quarter. And then I had a fairly substantial back burner list. And I would reorganize these people based on whether they wanted attention or not. And so here's Catherine's great sort of summary on how you organize your prospects. Catherine?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you want to, you can label them A, B, C, D if you choose, but the A group are gifts that you expect to close this year. So as you know, the closer a donor gets to a gift decision, the more times you're probably going to be meeting with them, because there's going to be conversations, negotiation, follow through to close the gift, those kind of things. So that it takes more time. Those are the people you make a priority. So Carol, to your point, they could be your top 15 for that particular point in time. Remember, time is critical here. Gift expected within the next 2 years, that's your next group down. So those may be people you see a few times in this year, maybe 6 times, whatever the number is appropriate. There's not a perfect number there. The next group down are those not yet cultivated or qualified. These are suspects, and they need to be a relatively small part of your portfolio. And this is where you see the most movement. So when you've got people they've not been cultivated or qualified, and you will have some of those that will become qualified, so they move to your B group. Some of them who will be disqualified, they move out of your portfolio, and some who are not qualified, and they also move out of your portfolio. That now, again, for this moment in time, those that are not qualified may move back into your portfolio later, maybe next year or the next 6 months, or if something changes in their giving. And then the last group, the D group, are your stewardship mode. So who are the donors you're stewarding? Because some of those you're bringing back around to move eventually back into B or A.
I know when I was a frontline fundraiser at the Keenan Flagler Business School, I kept Mr. Keenan, who named our school, in my top 10 every month.
Mm-hmm.
I was stewarding him just to make sure he was happy. Every month he got special attention. I also want to point out that, remember Catherine said how organizing your prospects, organize them by timing. And isn't that interesting to gift timing? And so let's put the full court press maybe
Yeah.
on the ones who might give this year. I mean,
Yeah. And,
that's
and this, I
realistic.
will, yeah, and I will add too, this is a great practice to organize this way, because one of the things is that when let's say you've got a campaign you're thinking about, and you need to know kind of what your major gift, the whole group looks like, what your opportunity is in there. And one of the things we like to do when we benchmark campaigns is we do this list by quarters. So who's closing in what quarter? And it keeps the campaign moving really well, and it keeps the gift officer team or gift officer, some is just one, some is as many, focused on the right people at the right time. Again, right people at the right time for the right thing needs to be in your vocabulary. You need to repeat
And
that.
that's what portfolio management does for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because people go, oh my gosh, how do I organize all these names? What do I do? And so everybody, drum roll. Here is Catherine's handy dandy template.
Mm-hmm.
And you can copy this and you can adapt it for your own use. But if you notice, one of the lovely things about this is you've got a list of donors with estimated high and estimated low,
Mm-hmm.
and timing. And then the
Mm-hmm.
stage of their development. Are they in discovery? Are they in qualification? Are they in stewardship? But just think how handy something this simple is. And so
Mm-hmm.
you've got your CRMs that may have all sorts of reporting and
Mm-hmm.
everything, but sometimes when I was running a campaign, excuse me, I just used Google Sheets and Excel charts because I
Mm-hmm.
was dealing with such a small number of people, and I was adapting the information all the time, and then I would upload it into our CRM. What do you think about that strategy, Catherine?
I love it. I think I think, I did something similar when I was a gift officer. I always called it kind of my back of the napkin list. And I would, be working on my top group every month. And then at the end of the month, just like you were doing, Gail, go back and look at what did I have, what I accomplished with the particular donors. Did that change anything in the order of my next, calls I had planned for the next month? How many I'm going to get done in the next period of time? That's the same thing. Again, it's managing chunks of time and what you're doing in that period of time. And you're trying, again, do it with the best people. And then Bridget had a question about being a small
Yeah.
organization. Do it. Listen, you can scale this down. This is a nice thing about all of this, which is best practice. It's proven to work. You can take it and scale it. So you may not want to even use the word portfolio. Maybe you just use your list of your top 10 major donors. And for a small shop, you may just want to say, okay, these are my major donors that I want to see over a period of time. And if a month sounds too aggressive for you, use a quarter. Quarters are great.
Yeah.
We love 90-day things. It just works beautifully.
Oh, people are saying they appreciate us sharing this. Thank you. I mean, I have to say, all right, we do have a little commercial, so but we also share really good stuff that is very timely for this environment, if I can say. So we really appreciate that, and it's our service to you. But let me have my little commercial here because y'all, we are so excited. This is the first time we are unveiling something brand new. We have had our Major Gifts Intensive, I think, for 12 or 13 years now, and we have worked with hundreds of smart nonprofit teams, both large and small, to really develop a full-scale major gift program. And if you're interested in that, sign up for the spring program. This is our new fall program in response to popular demand, and this is for the individual fundraiser. The Major Gifts Intensive in the spring is for a team is $6,500. This one is it's almost 1,700, and so it's very doable. You can pay over time or whatever for the up and coming fundraiser. And also, we have seen, Catherine, what are you hearing about major gift officer training needs?
Oh wow. Yeah. I mean,
Training
what we're going over with you right now is really what we hear the most. Managing time. How do we stay in front of the best prospects? My portfolio is just lackluster. What do I do about it? Somebody mentioned the pipeline. We didn't talk about the pipeline at all here. We've had clients before come in and say, we just there's nothing happening, and if nothing's happening, you're not raising major gifts either. We get into that managing time. I don't know how to find out what I need to know from my donors. Donors won't see me. I can't get appointments. The I can't get help from the volunteers. I ask the volunteer, call the volunteer, and say I need that help, and I get crickets. So these are big pain points. We hear them all the time, and so
And
we,
so
yeah,
this program focuses directly on the relationship skills, the portfolio management skills, and the asking skills that you need to be a frontline major gift fundraiser of success. And so we're featuring everybody. Guess what? Our entire consulting team is going to help with this program. And remember, they're feet on the ground who are working with major campaigns right now, and they're going to bring what's working to this program this fall. And we have 11 live interactive trainings. It's going to start, I think, September 11th and go through December 4th. We'll take Thanksgiving week off. We have 3 small group coaching sessions, and we're going to try to create peer discussion groups so that you can have support of your friends. And we'll have small groups, like quite small, for our group coaching calls, so people really do get a lot of attention. And we just worked out, haven't told you, Catherine, we just worked out that people can register now and pay later if you'd like to.
hey,
And so we are thrilled to work something out with you. And Pamela wants to know if we can get this in next year's. We will do this next fall, what, in 2026, Catherine, you
I think
think?
so. I mean, I can't tell y'all how excited we are that our consulting team, who is chomping at the bit, I might add, to really get in here and help. These our consultants are fabulous. I mean, you see Gail and you see me, but wait till you see them. Let me just say that. And so they are. I can't tell you how excited they are. And again, like Gail said, bringing things that we see every day with our consultants, actually doing what all of you all are doing every day and bringing solutions to the table. They're unique personalities, and I think you all love them. So I hope you join this program.
We want to brag a little bit because we get lots and lots of accolades from the Major Gifts Intensive. And so we have some Major Gifts Intensive
Yeah, and that's great.
graduates. And thank you, Kelly and Aaron. Thank you so much. And so we're adapting the Major Gift Intensive curriculum to an individual person's training program. So please give it some thought. Our call to action is for you to register now and help us spread the word if you can, because this is so new, and we want to get the word out. And also there's some what you might call competing programs that are being phased out. And I want to tell you why this program, I'm going to tell you why you should join, because this program is live. It is not pre-recorded. It is not self-paced. This is like you got to schedule every Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon. We're going to be with you. We have work to do. and you get we work with you in real time. We think the real time and the live training and coaching is so important because it otherwise it's just more passive. We sort of rub your nose in it, right? Say, let's get some work done. What do you think, Catherine?
Absolutely. I mean, we really, Gail likes to say, well, Catherine shows up, so did the whip and chair. So, you know, discipline's another thing. And I see there's a question about consulting support for starting a major gift initiative. Yes, we do have consulting lines of service that also, it's certainly at a different price level, but we certainly do that as a consulting service. So if you are interested or have a question about our consulting service line, please, Jen is on the call here with us. You can fill out an inquiry for us, and we'll set up a call with you.
So we're going to bless and release our little commercial. I hope y'all enjoyed our enthusiasm for this new venture we're doing. And let's talk about how to have a productive conversation with a major donor that actually goes forward as opposed to just sits in one place. How many times have I had conversation with major donors and I did not know how to move them forward? Anybody else feel like that? So Catherine's going to give us the secret sauce.
Yes. Well, we have identified there are basically three things you need to know about the donor. And this is what all of your focus is and all your conversations are about. One, you need to know their giving range. And trust me, they will tell you when the time is right. You need to know more about their values. And this relates to their motivations. Their motivations, you need to understand what motivates them, what really trips their trigger, what makes them think about a larger gift, and then how to do that. And then lastly, you need to know their timing. And, how do we say right here, they will tell you. They will tell you these things. I always say, Gail and I sometimes sit back and say, if we had $1 or $2 for every time we were asked in a coaching call, these questions about these things, the donor said this, what did it mean? And and everything. And our answer back is always, did you ask them? Did you ask them?
And
yeah, go ahead.
Catherine and I talk a lot about the fact that one of the greatest challenges for a major gift officer or just a regular fundraiser who's working with major donors who needs to move donors forward is the ability to ask a direct question. It is so frightening. And when I was a frontline fundraiser, I would have raised twice as much money if I had knew the direct questions to ask donors.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us more, Catherine.
Yes. So we like to think about this as strategic conversation. I like to say that whenever you're doing this kind of work, you want to think about everything as a strategy, not a task. So and when you think that way, you kind of develop that strategic mindset, you're going to be more successful. So the strategic conversation is one that you have planned. Okay. You plan it out. Like even if it's you by yourself, you can like scenario play it out in your head. Even better if you have a coach. So that's always good to have. And then it has one or more objectives. You are always determining based on your past conversations, and even if this is a brand new conversation, what that objective is. And your objective is this is a real hint, so take a note. It's not to tell them something about your organization. It's to find out something about the donor. Okay, so your objective is always about something about the information you need to know, always. Okay, and then we've said before, inquiry driven. That means you've planned out your questions that you think you can ask in your conversation. Again, framed in permission and all these things. And conversations have 4 stages.
Mm-hmm. So here we go, the 4 stages of a strategic conversation. Where's the planning part? I guess you plan.
That's you do ahead. You do the planning part in your office or
Okay.
in your, so that is it. You've done the planning time and now you're in front of the donor. So basically there's an introduction. That's your chit chat that sets the tone, the friendly, warm and friendly. You want to, all that kind of stuff. Permission is a kind of a stage, it's kind of sprinkled throughout the conversation, but you always want to use it. It sounds like, if I may I ask, and would you share, those kind of little phrases, very polite. said. It establishes trust and focus, and it also helps the donor feel that they have some control in the conversation, and that the questions you're asking are natural. That it's not it doesn't feel like an interrogation, which is really important. And then you get into your objectives. That's where you're transitioning to the purpose and the business of the meeting. You can do that by saying things like, well, I really appreciate your time today. May I share, or may I ask, or whatever your objective is, kind of getting it started. And then how you end the conversation is also really important. So how you wrap it up, that's setting the stage for your next interaction. I think Gail has always said, and I have learned a lot from Gail too. So, you're part of that wrapping up and from one of the objectives of your meeting is to get the next meeting or establish the next step. So that's really important in your wrap up. You never want to leave a conversation and the donor wonders why the heck you were there.
Absolutely. And I want to speak a little bit about permission. Catherine and I have developed our favorite phrase, and it's called, if I may I, blah, 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 and you can ask a lot of somewhat personal and even impertinent questions if you say, if I may, could I ask, blah, blah. And so what I like about permission is that the donor sort of opening a door saying, yes, I do want to talk about this. And Tracy's about asking for advice. We are big on advice visits.
Mm-hmm.
If I may, I'd love to ask your advice or your input on some of our donor prospects. Would you be willing to brainstorm with me a little bit? Or I'd love to ask your opinion of whether you think we should have a VIP event before our gala, or something you can control and that doesn't feel too out there. I'm always asking donors for advice about other donors.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to develop influencers who will help open doors for me. So yes, thank you, Tracy. We're big on advice visits, but the permission thing is huge. We forget a lot about it. And then the whole idea of objective, I mean, you're having a business meeting with your donor. Gail, your mother passed away, and I know you were interested in having a chat with us about setting up an endowment in her honor. Is this something you'd still like to discuss? That is, again, permission and setting an objective. And also ask me about my timing. Do I want to talk now or later? So hopefully you have got something on the table with these donors that you can talk about, that they are, last time we talked, you were interested in learning more about our Meals on Wheels programs, and so here are some of Catherine's super duper direct strategic questions that are going to help you move your donor forward. You want to talk about these, Catherine?
Yeah. And again, really, I think if you have someone to role play with or even practice these questions back and forth, do this, because this is where I think a lot of people in the major gift world or just in development, just any kind of fundraiser, really get, really do not see themselves in the right position with the donor. They see themselves more as a supplicant or I'm begging for something or I'm trying to get something versus I am a facilitator. So start by repositioning yourself. It'll make you more comfortable asking these questions. You're facilitating. And if you don't have knowledge or information, you can't facilitate. So let me say it that way. So potential giving range, here's again, these kind of questions. Would you like to learn more about how a larger commitment would impact those we serve? This gives you an opportunity to even talk about, let's say the donor kind of answers that by saying something like, I'd really love to know, could you share with me what kind of investment it would take from whatever it is that may happen? And you can tell them the whole thing. Well, if we had $1 million investment, our organization would be able to do these things. The donor will tell you things like that. Maybe I can't do that, but would some of that help? I could do this. Or I was really thinking about 2 million. So that's what they will answer your questions. Seriously, those are straight out of what really happens. What gift range should we be talking about? Should we be discussing with you? Again, the only person who knows their number is a donor. You can have all the research in the world, but the only person who knows is a donor. Going to values, which is really important. This thing about asking people what other charities they support is a great question to ask people. It helps you understand the whole landscape of their philanthropy and understanding where you fit in it. It's also not wrong to say, where do we rank in your philanthropic priorities, if I may ask? These are important things that you need to know that help you. And let me tell you this, these are similar questions that we ask our client donors when we do a feasibility study and donors tell us and we don't know them at all. Okay. We're meeting them for the first time, although they have some context for why we're meeting. The way we aren't just in there, we tell people what we're talking about. We use permission. We use all these things in framing our questions in that context. And then lastly, when would be the right time for you to make your gift decision? I'll never forget, Gail, I tell the story a lot. The first time I advised one of our clients it was right after a study, and the donor had told me a number. And I suggested to the gift officer, I said, why don't you call these people up and ask them this question? And she said, really? I should ask that question? I said, trust me. Just go ask the question. She was very trusting. She had a lot of confidence in us. She did. She went and asked. She said, call me up about a day later. She said, Catherine, I asked that question. You're not going to believe this. I said, well, share what happened. And she said, I went and met, they said, oh, they love to talk to me now. And they made a $350,000 commitment to the organization by just asking what their timing was. So really, really important. Really important, these questions.
And we've got some questions about wealth screening.
Oh, goody.
And we think wealth screening is a wonderful tool. And if you're not doing it, you should be doing it, because the data and the use of AI is helping you save even more time and find those sleeper prospects who really do want attention and who do have capacity. We are master account holders of Donor Search. We really like Donor Search. We recommend Donor Search. I would say that wealth screening is not that expensive. We have a small consulting program where we help you with your portfolio if you want us to teach you how to analyze your wealth screening reports so you can prioritize it and act. Because soon people get wealth screening reports and they say, oh my gosh, it's way too much information, I'm lost. So see, we've got some great conversations here. And yes, I have heard about iWave too. I haven't really checked them out as well. Let's see, just lost my screen. Am I still live?
Yeah, you're here, but the slides went away.
There we are. The slides okay?
I can't see them. I can't see them.
Okay, let's see. Screen sharing is paused. Let me start over. Catherine, talk a little bit.
I'll talk a little bit about the strength. It says, Gail mentioned we're Donor Search. The key thing about prospect research is what it's supposed to do is save your time. And how it's supposed to save your time is not looking at things by one person by one person by one person. It's to do segmentation in your data. And so whether it's integrated with your data, with your current CRM, or whether you're using it on the various vendors' platforms, it's segmentation techniques that move you into kind of the pond that you should be fishing in. And when we do this for our clients, when we do the screening, we have a team member who actually does the analysis for you. So, and we bring back here the list of people that you should need to be calling on. And we have a work back and forth iteratively with our clients to determine, have they already identified some of those people as prospects or not? And if they're not, we put them in discovery or qualification with the client. And if they are, we make sure they're asking the right questions and where those relationships are.
Thank you for that. And wealth screening is a big topic, and actually the use of data to prioritize your portfolio and focus on the right people is a whole new world out there with AI. But somebody asked in the chat box earlier about if you're a small shop and you can't afford the software. The one thing I would do is get my donor records on a CRM, and they're very, very low cost CRMs out there. Donor database vendors who charge very minimally, and that's the first step of using a package that already has a lot of reporting and a lot of capabilities built in, and they can dovetail with event software and other kinds of software. Well, let's talk about using influencers, because that's something we've been developing lately, especially for our mega gifts. Lots of times it takes a small team of influencers to sort of nudge the donor over the finish line. Right, Catherine?
Yes, absolutely. Especially for the mega donors, those high net worth individuals often need an influencer engaged with you. But here's the thing about major gift fundraising, and I will say this is why often the entire board is not a resource for identifying prospects for you. So the best volunteers in major gift fundraising are those that are major gift donors themselves, They are also a current donor to your organization. Typically, there's some caveats about that, but they need to be a current donor. They need to be engaged in some way, and they're willing to engage with you. So if you have someone just like in a suspect, so to speak, and in the as a potential giver won't engage with you, you back burner them or bless and release. Same here. If they say they don't want to do this, do not push it. And then lastly, they have demonstrated influence. So they themselves, they talk to they're sort of they have a peer group of people that are also major philanthropists, and they're able to open doors and things like that. So that's important. And I think what we've discovered through our consulting work is that often we think about having people be volunteers for us, but we don't think about what are the key characteristics they need to have in order to be a successful volunteer.
And if you can engage an influencer as a volunteer, often, Catherine, what do we tell our capital campaign influencers?
Oh, yes. And this is about soliciting or not.
And this is key, y'all. This is
really
worth
key.
Goal, what she's going to share.
They're only asked to make an ask when they are the only person who can do it. They are the only person who can do it. We never recommend to a client that you hand a group of volunteers a list of donors to solicit ever. I mean, it's just taken off the table. You hear my tone of voice. It takes it's like Gail calls my teacher voice. And so we take that off. Seriously, though, we take it off the table. That is not what they're going to do. And so what we see now by taking that off the table and cultivating their influence in a way that allows them to do the thing that they can do best, we see our campaign leadership more engaged. They stick with the campaign for the years that it takes for a campaign to occur and be successful. They continue to help raise major gifts and open doors, ask when they are the only one who can do that ask, or go on a call, or even just engage with the development team in order to strategize about the approach to a particular prospect. It is great to see it.
Yeah, that's your advice visit with these key influencers. But just imagine going up to the really biggest philanthropists in your community who have some connection to your organization and telling them about your campaign and asking them or inviting them to join as a volunteer, but they only have to make the calls. They're only asked to make the calls only they can make. And lots of times they'll sit back and say, well, I know two people that probably I'm the right person to go to them. I'll do those two. So it's a great way to use your volunteers at their highest and best use. You're not overwhelming them with a long list. You're using them exactly where they can be the most productive, and they'll feel good about it. Yeah, that's Catherine invented that. So, and this whole thing about cultivating influence, we are cultivating influencers in our campaigns and with our clients, because you are enlisting them, you are nurturing the relationship, you're building trust and confidence, you're respectful, just like you do with a donor, Catherine.
Absolutely. And this follow-up is essential in anything, with whether it's a donor or volunteer, but it was important to put here because when you're cultivating an influencer or a volunteer, you need to be constantly sharing with them what's going to happen and what you're going to do with any information that they share, because that's the confidence and trust piece. So the big mistake I think that fundraisers often make is when they ask for names but don't tell anybody what they're going to do with the names.
And that's why people won't give you names.
Exactly. Right.
They're nervous about what's going to happen. Very awkward.
Yeah. So it's very, very important. And so this art of cultivating influence is something, again, we'll go more deeply into in our course this fall. And it's something that we do all the time with our clients, especially those in campaigns, when they're beginning to identify and invite and seat a group, a campaign committee or a group of volunteers. So, it's a strategy very much. And Amy, I really like what you shared. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. But so here we are in trying to raise major gifts in 2025 in an uncertain environment. One of your shortcuts to mega gifts is to appropriately enlist some influencers to help you surround your major donor prospect with with good news about your organization and gently nudge them across to close a gift. So I think it's a very powerful strategy that a lot of people don't use enough, but it is used in capital campaigns pretty often. But you can use it for your organization. You can use it to recruit a new board member. You can use it in all sorts of ways. The idea of having key influencers who are aligned with you and are allies to work on your behalf very specifically. I love the strategy because it's very targeted. So
Mhm.
here's our last slide. So stick with us. We're so appreciative. We had almost 600 people signed up and we had almost 300 attend, which is actually over 300 attending. So that is a great, thank you so much.
Mhm.
So let's run through this real quickly so we can take more questions, Catherine.
Mhm. Yeah. So again, here's just what we think are the top 5 things that your influencers can do for you. Again, opening the door and making introductions for you or other institutional leaders, really important. Bringing people to key events at whatever your organization does, that would be a great place for the major gift donor to be. The tap in, number 3 is what I call the tap in. It's either making a letter or making a call after they ask to encourage the donor to consider to make that commitment. Thanking, I'm sure many of you will have processes by which you get boards members and other people to thank, but getting a letter from a key volunteer when a donor's made a gift can be very meaningful. They don't even have to know them for it to be meaningful. And then that's number 5 is the one that we talked about a little bit earlier about, when this is the call that only the volunteer can make, are they asked to solicit? So that's really, really important. So these 5 things, these are the roles of the influencers and how you can use them.
So everybody, we want you all to be so thrilled about the Major Gift Officer Boot Camp. We want you to, we'll send the link so you can check out the program. We have a great big long page on our website about it. And spread the word if you would, for us as well. And also, what are your key takeaways? What are your key takeaways? And Penny, please share your question again so I can answer it. I'm watching, we've got our chat box open. So I want to hear from some people. What did you learn today that landed that you can use tomorrow? We love that. And yes, Lana, a board member can be considered an influencer. In fact, they're wonderful influencers because they're insiders
Mm-hmm.
to your organization.
Mm-hmm.
Roseanne, thank you so much. But I want Dawn Carter, how are you? I want to know I want to know what you learned. Monthly portfolio management, love it. Heather loves If I May. And everybody says thank you. Be willing to ask the trickier questions. Love that, Caroline. Yeah. And portfolio management is a key takeaway. It will save you, helping you set priorities, and the permissions are fabulous. You can use them with I use them with my husband. And if he says, if I may to me, I go, whoops, I better pay attention. Triaging portfolios. Yes, Caroline. Thank you. Yeah. And let's see, specifics on, yeah, influencers can save you,
They
especially
really
like that.
can. Mm-hmm.
And Kelly says it's okay to ask their giving range. How are you doing, Kelly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's so much fun to see everybody here and to see old friends and make new friends. And we want to invite you too to connect with us on LinkedIn and connect with Gail Perry Group. We're starting to do more little short videos about things that are happening in fundraising and would love to be able to reach you through those connections. And you are now officially on our newsletter list if you were not before, but you can be ready for a happy dose of us in your inbox every Friday morning. And Richard says he really likes asking for permission, and it's helped. It's helped close some
Right.
gifts. Yeah. What do you think, Catherine? You want to answer Terry's
Oh,
question?
I think, let's see,
Gift
where is their
metrics?
benchmark? Oh, yes, new in season. So, major gift fundraising benchmarks, they're the standards pretty much, like number of contacts. Contacts meaning you've actually met with the donor, not the temps. So those are important. Usually 8 to 10 a month is usually the range we typically recommend for somebody who's fully dedicated. So you have to measure that. Number of solicitations, that's generally established by the gift officer based on their portfolio. So you don't want to over state the portfolio. This is why moving the portfolio around, like we talked about, is really critically important. Those are just some of the key benchmarks right there for you. And some of the others like dollars raised and things like that are specific to the organization.
And role playing with a colleague is really a great practice. Sometimes Kathy and I are doing a workshop, or some I'll do a board retreat. One time, last times I'll do a board retreat, and I'll just ask for a board volunteer, and I'll role play
Yeah.
with them, and they're going, "Whoa, that's how you do it."
Yeah.
Um, so everybody, we invite you to consider joining our Major Gifts Officer Boot Camp and bring your
Mhm.
team. We invite you to connect with us on LinkedIn. And if you're planning a capital campaign, we
Mhm.
are experts and would very much appreciate the opportunity to chat with you and share our
Mhm.
qualifications
Mhm.
in that regard. Catherine,
Mhm.
any final words? It's 2 o'clock on the
I
East
think this
Coast.
has been great. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And I hope many of you will sign up for the course too. But I think just the joy of sharing this with you all, it's really been a lift in my day. So thank you all for being here. It's been a great pleasure to be with you.
Take care, everybody. Stay in
All right.
touch.
Bye.
Bye.